Good evening, everyone, and welcome to This Week from Rockdale. And I am your host, as usual, Larry Cox. And we've got a few people joining in here today. The audience is growing back after my snafu of losing my channel. I got hijacked um, last weekend and was able to, put some channels back up here, and we're live. And we've got some people joining us. Let me say hello in the chat. We have Tina Hobbs. We have Lisa Lancaster. We have George Kelichek. We have Ben and Cheryl Garcia. We have Marie Withers. We have Charlotte Gellett, Mary Boysworth. Welcome, William Campbell, Angela Asper, Judy Bonds. We are growing here as we go. Jill Oden, nice to have you here tonight, Jill. So, Jill, I'm going to talk about Board of Education stuff, and I know you love it when we talk about the Board of Education. So, that's something we're going to talk about, looking at some messages I'm getting from people. Thanks for the messages. Joey Williams, Tina Hobbs. Thanks for thanks for joining the show, everybody. So I am glad to have you here this evening. We've got a nice little group following us so far. So let's do something here. And I really, anybody that's watching on Facebook, if you would share and like the show, that's going to help us. That's going to help us grow the show. Good evening, Alex. Nice to have you, Alex, watching us over on the YouTube. So, like I said, if you're Doug with them, nice to have you here. Like I said, guys, if you're on the Facebook page, share and like the page so that we can grow the audience. The audience is pretty decent this second weekend after my hijacking. I'm glad that we're growing the audience back. We have people are finding us. I've been able to send out notifications to invites to people. Been doing my work. Cheryl Walton, glad to have you here this evening, Cheryl. Like I said, guys, let's share, like the show, so that we can grow the audience and keep this going. Because there's things that happen in Rockdale County that the county government, the municipality, the Board of Education, they're not going to tell you about it. They're going to spin their misinformation and they're going to gaslight you. That's exactly what's going on. Alex and I talked about it this week. We had a conversation. We just talked about, this was just a week of extreme gaslighting, and it was. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was just, you couldn't make this kind of stuff up if you tried to. That's what's happened. I went live the other night after I did some meetings, but I'm going to recap. I'm going to go over some of the same stuff I did on that little live impromptu thing I did because it's very important. We had some very interesting things happen last week in Rockdale County. So let's talk about, thank you guys for sharing and liking. That's how we're going to get this message out. That's how we're going to get people to understand what's really going on in Rockdale County. Because, this is what people need to realize. Larry Cox is the people's voice. That's what I've come to find out, that this show can actually be the people's voice here in Rockdale County. Larry Cox is the people's voice. And that sounds like a really good campaign thing for some of my campaign stuff running for the Board of. And we're going to talk about the Board of Education stuff too, because there was some stuff that happened on that front this week too. I want to just talk to you guys about a few little things too. So, but let's talk about, we had the rally. So on this past Tuesday, we had the anti-tax rally. We met at 9:54. There was a nice little crowd there. There was 20, 25 people there, maybe 30. But, I expected it to be a small crowd proportionate to what, the county is. And I told the people there, the crowd that we've gathered, the people that go to the board meeting at 10, our words aren't going to matter to this commission. I told the people there, they're going to raise your taxes. Just like the Board of Education raised your taxes, the City of Conyers raised your taxes, the Board of Commission, it's also going to raise your taxes. And our problem in Rockdale County is when all three of these entities raise your taxes, it's accumulative. It hits you across the, 10% here, 15 there, another 12, 18% there. So that's what happens. Good evening, Danielle Munez, the Fit Life with Danielle. Danielle's joined us. So when all three of the entities hit you, that's where you get your big increases. That's how you get 20% increase from if you live in the city, and if we live in rural Rockdale, you between the Board of Education and the Board of Commission, that's how you get these things. And then if you live in the city of Conyers, you get the dreaded triple whammy, right? So you get hit with the Board of Education, the Board of Commission, and the city of Conyers increase. And guys, that's a tough pill to swallow when you look at all that, right? So it's really tough to swallow, and that's what happens to us as citizens in Rockdale County. We get that double and triple trifecta from from the Board of Education, Board of Commission, and the City of Conyers when they raise our tax. Uh, uh, as a realtor, Daniel says she can imagine how trying that is, and it is trying when that happens. With the citizens of Rockdale County. So, guys, what we've got to look at here in Rockdale County is we've got to look at a way to make a difference. Yeah, Dan, to sell a house, and that's the thing about it is, they keep saying your taxes to increase. It doesn't. So so we had the rally and we had a bunch of people speak. We had people that, for, different political spectrums. I spoke, Angela Ingram spoke, Modessa Ahmad spoke, Brian Jenkins spoke, and former Chairman Richard Odom. And it was unusual with several of the people started because I got to speak first. And the majority, and like at least two of the other people that spoke specifically said, I don't agree with much else with Larry Cox other than I don't agree with these taxes. We actually don't agree on a lot. And I found it was funny that that they referenced to me as we don't agree with Larry Cox on much, but we agree with him on the fact that these taxes are bad for the citizens of Rockdale County. So everybody gave their spiel. Nobody there that spoke was for the tax increase, and nobody in attendance was for the tax increase. And an unusual thing, we go on up to the Board of Commission meeting, and usually we'll have one person stands up there and says, "Yeah, I like these taxes because they're getting me some benefits or something." We didn't have one person this year say they enjoyed their taxes being raised, because I think even those people who used to come up there and say that nonsense, they're even feeling the pinch of getting those tax increases, so they're not even showing up and saying that ridiculous statement. So the Board of Education, the Board of Commission has got this stupid um, little little video they got out there, and they explain to you why why it's going on and why it appears your taxes are. They say it seems the state. It seems to the state your taxes are being raised, so that's why they make us have these hearings. It doesn't seem to anybody that it's just appearance that your taxes are raising. Trust me, your taxes are going up. And when it was my turn to speak, I said, I told the commission that I wanted to come up and I wanted to correct some misleading information that was in that promotional video, because the chairman spent 10 minutes before the meeting talking about people in the county not understanding the process, not understanding the millage rate, not understanding a property tax assessment, that they didn't understand the process and that they were being misinformed. And in their video, it clearly states that it appears your taxes are going up is why we have to have the meeting, and your taxes are going up because your property values are increasing. Both those are misleading and false. They're more than misleading. They are false. That is false information. It is beyond misleading information. It is outright dishonest, false, not true. So, first of all, it doesn't appear or seem that your taxes are raising. They actually are raising. Just give you a hypothetical number. If your taxes were $1,200 this year, last year, and this year they're 1,201, that's a tax increase. So, but trust me, nobody got just a $1 increase. People got hundreds of dollars of increase in Rockdale County, hundreds and some even thousands of dollars of increase in Rockdale County. Then it said, the video said, and your taxes are increasing because your property values are increasing. That is such a load of hogwash. Listen, guys, the property value is only one part of the equation. The second part of the equation is the millage rate. The millage rate is a multiplier. When they take that millage rate and put it against the value of your house, and they do the mathematical equation, that gives you your property tax rate and ultimately what you're going to pay. So the millage rate, if they would set it at whatever they wanted to, they could actually lower your tax rate. You could actually pay lower amount of a dollar amount than you paid last year if they would set the millage rate at that a percent that would allow for that to happen. Um, so it was just ridiculous that they want you to believe. And they say this in this video, and then they tell you that guys like me that tell you the truth, we're trying to mislead you and not tell you the truth. When the fact is, the Board of Education, the Board of Commission, and the City of Conyers are the entities that are misleading you and lying to you and not being truthful with you, because they are raising your taxes intentionally with whatever rate they set the millage rate at. And that's just hard reality. That's what's going on in this county. And, there's some legislators right now that are talking about capping the amount that they can raise your taxes because this property value, they see this as a problem across the state of Georgia. And you had people talking about it. One thing that we all did agree on when we had to rally, every single speaker spoke to this, that the individuals being hit the hardest by this are senior citizens who are on a fixed income. And when you've got a total increase of 30 and 41%, seniors can't increase their income by 31 by 40%. They only get that 1 point whatever percent, increase from Social Security, or in the past, when they've got their increase, and then when their Medicaid price comes in, they actually take a decrease. So you're talking about people on fixed incomes who are not getting increases, but every year are facing increase after increase after increase. And what's happening is we're taxing the most vulnerable people in this county out of home ownership, out of home ownership. And that's what, we're taxing them out of ownership and independent living. That's what's going on in Rockdale County. And it's a shame that we've got people who have lived their whole lives. And I was used to be the only one that said this, that seniors aren't wanting to downsize. They're selling their house because they have to, because they can't afford the taxes, because they've got decision, pay taxes, buy medicine, buy food. And those are realities that we're living in here in Rockdale County. Senior citizens are having to decide between paying taxes, buying medication, and buying food. If they pay their taxes, they might not be able to do the others, and that is ridiculous. Voices for Rockdale about the rollback rate. I'm not even impressed with the rollback rate. We should set it uh, below the rollback rate. We should actually give the citizens of Rockdale County a tax reduction, not just the rollback rate. Set it at the same, because we have, for the last, let's just go back Oz Nesbitt's time, the last 7 years as him being chairman, we are facing tax increases. And that's a reality. That's not misleading information. That's not something that I've made up. That is reality. Reality is, at the 7 years that this individual has been the chairman, we have had a tax increase every single year. That's reality. That's not misleading information. That is factual information. And we've got these individuals protecting each other. Because let me tell you, then right after, we had this, and we had great, people talk. And one guy, he made this point that what he learned from these millage rate hearings was that the only thing that's positive, that it's a good time to sell your house in Rockdale County if you can, because your property values are up. That's what he learned. That it's not a good time to hold on to your house because you're going to get taxed out the yin yang. But if you want to sell your house, property values are going up, so sell your house. And that's like the point that Danielle made back a little bit ago, being a realtor. Are people really wanting to buy these homes in Rockdale County, knowing that they're going to be facing this crazy tax rate that's coming up? So there's the thing: do people really want to buy in Rockdale County, knowing the tax, knowing what rates they're going to be up against? So then later that evening, we went to a town hall. Some of us did. There were you know, I think Rhonda Taylor said 50 people or so that attended the town hall. So there were, a good group of people attended the town hall meeting at the library about House Bill 741, which is a bill to increase the number of commissioners from 3 to 5 and change our form of government from one ran by an elected uh, chairperson to, a 5 commission board who then would hire a county manager. So, let me tell you what, that was such a crap show because you had people there, and I'm going to talk about some of the people because listen, guys, I'm going to call some people out. They were at the meeting, they said what they said, and they need to stand behind these crazy messages they're putting out there. First of all, I told you that former Chairman Richard Noden and I spoke at the tax commission, and he clearly stated at the tax rally, Larry and Cox and I don't agree on much, but we agree on not raising taxes. Well, that day was probably the only time we agreed, that morning and not the rest of the day, because Richard Odom was there to defend the status quo at that 741 meeting. Doesn't support House Bill 741 because he supports the system we have in place now, where we have this all powerful chairman, and he even touted, well, the chairman's got to be there. He needs to be full time. He's got to be on this board, on this board, on this board. You guys just don't understand what the responsibility of the chairman is. Well, we've had 2 chairmen, and that includes Chairman Odom and Nesbitt. I'm going to say this. The reason Chairman Odom isn't former Chairman Odom isn't Chairman Odom any longer is because the people really weren't impressed with his stewardship as chairman of Rockdale County. They found him too dictatorial, too overbearing, just belittling to citizens. So they ousted him. And at that time, you had R.J. Hadley, Oz Nesbitt, and him and former Chairman Odom run back in 2016. Let me tell you, it was a dogfight. That was like the 33%, this, that, whatever, among all of them. And, and R.J. Hadley and Oz Nesbitt were on the, teetering for that second spot for that runoff. And I'll tell you what, whichever one of them would have got that second spot was going to beat. They were going to beat Richard Odom. And then Richard Odom talked about these people having time to serve on this committee. This is what I think, right? First of all, and I'll say this, and this is a little controversial. I don't think people. First of all, you need to be able to afford to serve as a part-time position, and that's not being because that's being somebody who's successful, who has succeeded in the business world or whatever part of whatever they do for a living. They are successful enough that they can put the time in to serve, that they aren't dependent on that income, that they have succeeded in whatever that they have ventured into in this world. So that's who I want. I want people to actually represent me who have been successful. I don't want a failed police officer, failed used car salesman that was struggling to pay his rent to represent me as the chairman. I don't want a post 1 commissioner who has lost their law license every single state they've practiced in. And let's be real. What Sherry Washington did in Rockdale County to those clients of hers, if that would have been any other profession, she would have faced criminal charges and be in jail right now. Fact. If she would have defrauded customers in any other line of work, she would be in jail right now for defrauding customers. But in the legal profession, somehow you can defraud people, and it's just an ethics violation. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? So, they don't hold their own too much accountable when it comes like to be in the law world. So, whatever it is. But she doesn't have a license. She's not successful. So we have people who have not been successful in their chosen line of professions, but yet we somehow think they're going to turn the corner and be successful in here. We got Sherry Washington going around pretending to be an economic development czar, and she can't even run a successful law practice, which is nothing more than a business. If you can't run a successful business, you don't need to be a commissioner. You don't need to be a chairman. That's point blank what I believe, and I'm not going to back off on it. And elections have consequences, and their actions should have consequences. Those two, Sherry Washington and Oz Nesbitt, are up for election this next time. We do not need to send them back. We do not need to reelect them. But let me get off this. Go back to this meeting that we're having, right? So we're at this meeting. Richard Oden is touting all this crap about why you need to have this chairman. Then Rhonda Taylor goes in. People always, so how can we afford this? It's going to cost us so much money. Rhonda Taylor shows what the chairman makes and the breakdown of what the chairman makes. And Lord and behold, what do we find out? We find out that the chairman's salary alone will pay for the 3 part-time commissioners that we're going to add with a little money left over. That's what we find. We find that the part-time commissioners total to like 34.5 is a high salary for them, right? High salary. So that makes it 103.5. And the chairman, I mean, there's conflicting what he actually makes. Anywhere between 125 and 145,000 is what the chairman's going to make. But the 3 commissioners would be 103. So even if it's at the low end of the 125, 130,000 of what the chairman could possibly make, that's still money left over. Then we have people say, well, what about this? What about this county manager? What about this county manager? And how are we going to pay for that? So Rhonda Taylor brings up this slide. And hey, Cherokee Ellen, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So Rhonda Taylor brings this slide up and shows that the median income for an individual who holds the position of county manager, and there's 120 of the 159 counties have a county manager position. The median income is $94,000. So we have a position in Rockdale County that's similar to the county manager. It's a CFO, head clerk, I mean, whatever the position's called. So we find out that person right now is making $200,000 a year and has a high school education. And we're requiring at least a master's degree in this legislation for an individual to be hired as county managers if we change the charter of Rockdale County. So very simple. We could hire 2 of these county managers for what we're paying this pseudo county manager right now, $200,000. Then we've got some other high paid staff that are bureaucrats that are like political appointees. So I made somebody says, well, we can't have anybody lose their job. Well, yes, we can. If they're a political appointee, then we can definitely replace them and eliminate that position. We can offer them a $50,000 or $60,000 or $80,000 job, if they want that, because this $200,000 job is not available anymore. We're eliminating that position, and we're instituting this county manager. We're probably going to end up paying 120 grand for county manager, not that 94, but that's not $200,000. Let's just say we pay $100,000 for a county manager. That's saving $100,000 from that position. We at least saved $20,000 to $50,000 from the chairman's position, converting that one position into 3 part-time Board of Commission individuals. So we're looking at, we could easily, by shifting our form of government from a full-time chairman to adding 2 more commissioners, making everybody part-time, we save at least $25,000 to $50,000 on our commission salaries, and then we save $100,000 on our county manager salary. That's a total savings of around $150,000. Then we had a staunch Oz Nesbitt supporter, Thomas Dean, a local businessman here in the county, and he kept saying, well, look at this. We're not saving money. It's more money. It's more money. Several of us, it's simple math. Look at the math, Thomas. We would be saving money. We're not increasing the budget. But, and then, he got eventually just whatever, got mad, frustrated, and left the meeting. But, this was an individual that kept saying, we're going to end up raising the budget. That's the thing, We're talking about a group of people who don't care to raise your taxes every year, spend every dime you have, raise the budget by millions and millions and millions of dollars. But we're trying to cry foul over $150,000. Cry foul over $150,000 when they raise your taxes by millions every year and the budget by millions. So somebody asked me what the budget was going to be this year. And I said, I don't know what the budget's going to be, but they're estimated to what they can collect is $101 million. So I expect the budget to at least be a $101 million. And that's reality. So they're going to collect a little more. So what? Let's just say their total collections with taxes and other things are going to be about $120 million. We're going to have a $120 million budget. Whatever they collect is what the budget is going to be. That's what the budget's going to be. The budget is going to be whatever they try to do. That's what they're going to do. That is exactly what they're going to do. They are going to do that. So, guys, this is totally ridiculous. We're living in a fantasy world here in Rockdale County, to where people we actually show them clearly. You put it in black and white. You show the numbers, and they want to argue with you. Well, you're not saving money. You're spending money. When the numbers themselves show you that you're taking what's there, you're splitting it up, managing it differently, and you're going to save the taxpayers dollars and give them more service. But you know what? These guys are crazy. So then let's talk about Larry Cox. That's me. I'm Larry Cox. Let's talk about me, and let's talk about Larry Cox running for Board of Education Post 1. So after I'd done a few of the things there Tuesday, after I went and spoke at the rally and spoke at the Board of Commission meeting, I decided, because I had told you guys a few weeks ago I'm going to run for Board of Education. So I decided, well, let's go ahead and make this a little more official. Let's go ahead and go file a declaration of intent. So I went up to the board office and I filed the declaration of intent to run for Post 1, which is currently held by Mandy North. So, and from what I gather, it's been rumored that Mandy's not going to run again, but that doesn't matter to me. I'm going to run for Post 1. If Mandy runs, then I'm going to run against Mandy, because Mandy is not representing you, the citizens of Rockdale County. She's clearly representing the interest of Terry Oates, the superintendent of Rockdale County. Now, as a lot of you know, I've been rather harsh on Terry Oates for the last couple of years. I am going to continue to be harsh on Terry Oates for the next couple of years. Cheryl Garcia, I believe I know who the $200,000 person is, and when I do an ORR and confirm that, I'll put that out there. But I believe I do know who the $200,000 person is. So Mandy North has registered to run. Well, that's good. So I think I know why, because they were going to put somebody else to run in that position that they felt was going to be a weaker candidate. There were some people that called this week asking if Larry Cox was serious about running for the Board of Education. And I'm going to tell you right now, Larry Cox is serious about running for the Board of Education. 2 reasons specifically. There's more than that. I'm going to talk about it. I'm serious about running for the Board of Education because I think Terry Oates is the wrong person to lead Rockdale County's education forward. He's proven that he's not the right person. So what I want to do is show that we can do a nationwide search. We can hire that right individual with the right program, with the right message, with the right decisions, and out of the box thinking that can get Rockdale County out of the educational gutter that we're in. We are in an educational gutter. I also want us to be responsible with our spending. We are too heavy at the central office. So in the business world, your biggest expense is your labor. And if you've got too much labor in management or overhead, and you don't have enough labor in production, then you're not producing enough to cover your labor. You're not producing enough. So in my opinion, we've got too much of our labor into non-productive positions at the Board of Education. And we're seeing the end result in bad test scores and the kids not performing. So we need to shift some of that manpower to where we can see more of an end product. And we need to determine, do we really need all the salaries that we have? But we just don't want to shift money over to the production side just to be shifting. It's got to be right, and it's got to be the right number. Because also we learn this in business: throwing money at a problem doesn't fix it. When you throw money at something, it does not fix it. We also want to talk about, well, if you pay people more money, they perform better. Let me tell you, in the business world, we have learned just throwing money at positions doesn't fix it, and it doesn't give you a better employee. Working environment, money matters. Don't get me wrong, money does matter, but employees have to feel that they're invested and they have an investment, they have an opportunity, that they can be involved, they can make a difference, that they have stock in what's going on, that they have a say in what's going on. So that's as important as salary, and that they have a work environment and supervisors and bosses that support them and back them and give them the ability to think freely and enact some of their own decisions. That's how you build a happy and a good work environment for employees. So I want to look at somebody with that. So, and then secondly, we need to have a contract that is more favorable to you, the citizens of the Rockdale County, than it is toward the superintendent. The superintendent clearly, they need to be the person that takes the educational process and do that lead, but also the board needs to have some direction in that and some say in that with the superintendent. Not saying the board needs to be involved in the day-to-day operation. They don't. That is the superintendent's job. But we need to move forward that the superintendent is well aware that he answers to the board and works for the board. And the board answers to and works for the citizens of Rockdale County. There needs to be a clear and defined definition of these things, that the board members work for and answer to the citizens of Rockdale County, that the superintendent works for and answers to the Board of Education, an extension of the citizens of Rockdale County. That's what needs to be done. Let me tell you what, Marie, I know these things can be expensive, but we've got a school system that has, pushing $100 million, it's over 100, it's 180 some million dollars. We're pushing $200 million budget. And we're talking, $250,000, $300,000 for a superintendent, which is pennies on the dollar for what we're doing. And if we do an extensive search, it's pennies on the dollar. And if we do have somebody in this system right now, they're not making an impact. If they've been there, they're not making an impact right now. Just letting you know that. I don't think the answer is within the system. I think the answer is outside the system. And I also think that individual needs to live in Rockdale County. Terry Oates does not live in Rockdale County. He lives in Henry County. His kids did not or do not attend public school, attended private school. So if we hire an individual and they have kids of school age, their kids need to attend public school. If you're the superintendent and you don't have enough confidence in the system that you're running to put your own kids in it, why would you expect me to have my kids and my grandkids in a system you don't have the confidence to put your own children in? That's what I'm saying. And that's what I mean. I've got grandkids that live I have 3 grandchildren that just moved out of Rockdale County. And my daughter moved them out of Rockdale County because they were getting a subpar education in Rockdale County. That's what's going on. I have a grandchild that's in pre-K in Rockdale County right now. I want that child to stay here because I want to see that child a lot. My kids that just moved an hour and a half away, my child that moved an hour and a half away, my grandchildren, children an hour and a half away. I'm not going to get to see them as often as I would like because, and I understand the decision that my daughter made, and it was the decision for her children. But if I can run for the Board of Education and I can improve this school system, that one of my grandchildren can stay here so that I can spend more time with them, then to me, that's worth this fight. So, I think you, the citizens, deserve to have more of a say in what's going on in Rockdale County. Need to have more of a say in what's going on at the Board of Education, at the Board of Commission, and at the City of Conyers. And the way to do that is elect people who will bring your voice forward. That's what we do. We have town halls. Now, but get me wrong, we have town halls and discuss the fact about this search for a commissioner. I mean, a a new superintendent. But you know what? That's irrelevant right now because we've got a 4-3 board that's going to keep Terry Oates. And if Mandy North runs and we keep Mandy North, you keep that 4-3 advantage. So I know there was some people this week that were a little bit upset when I filed those documents. And let me tell you what, there was concern that Larry Cox might have. Is Larry Cox serious? Larry Cox is dead serious about this. If Larry Cox is serious, he has a chance of winning. And if Larry Cox would win, it would change the dynamic of that board. And if Justin Kenney gets reelected, then the 4-3 switches to a different group of individuals who have a different mindset. So people were concerned that there wouldn't be stability on the board. So they're concerned that if another group of people with a different mindset get, the majority, that it's not stable. Well, Lord have mercy, we've got this 4-person majority now, and we call that stable. Actually, the word harmony. We need harmony on the school board. We need more than harmony on the school board. We need common sense on the school board. We need people who are successful in what they do for a living on the school board. Larry Cox is successful at what he does. Larry Cox has built a successful business in Rockdale County that works all over the Southeast United States. We're one of the top DOT contractors in the Southeast United States. I will bring my business expertise, my management expertise, my personnel expertise to the board of Education. I will bring my knowledge and my expertise to the Board of Education so that we can have a well-rounded Board of Education, people that understand how to make something successful. You need people in charge who have taken something from nothing, created it, and made it successful. Those are the types of individuals that you want serving you. You don't want people serving you that have failed in their chosen line of profession. You want people to serve you. That's what you want people to do. I like this right here. I'm going to put this up because I was called rude and disrespectful by this person also. So we need Doreen Carter gone because she is very rude. So I wanted to ask Doreen Carter a question. So I rose up and I said, "Can I ask you a question?" She initially said yes. And I said, "Where do you live?" And she said, "Well, of course you would be disrespectful and rude." So let me tell you what I was going to ask Doreen Carter. I was going to ask Doreen Carter where you lived because I wanted to know, in the county you live, do you have multiple commissioners elected by district? And the answer is yes. In the county that you live, do you have a county manager? And the answer is yes. In the county that you live, did the delegation, which she was a member of the delegation at that time, vote to change your host to an e-host so that 100% of those taxes would, those taxes collected would go to property tax reduction? And the answer would have been yes. So Doreen Carter lives in a county that has everything that Rockdale County residents have been asking for but she stands up there and tells you, as the bill is written, I can't support it. Doreen Carter can't support legislation that she's living under in DeKalb County. Isn't that amazing? And then she calls individuals rude. Yes, DeKalb County has an ethics board. Well, Rockdale County has an ethics board, but the Board of Commission has failed to put people on the ethics board, just like they failed to put people on the water and sewer board also. So, guys, if we get these boards and we have them established, then the Board of Commission is the wrong board to be the individuals to actually maintain the boards, because they don't want oversight. They don't want people looking over their back and seeing what they're doing. That's exactly what they don't want. Guys, in Rockdale County, we can make a difference, and we can make that difference this May by voting in the Democrat primary and voting in the nonpartisan Board of Education elections. And those Board of Education elections are nonpartisan. So that means they are on every single ballot. They are on the Democrat ballot, they're on the Republican ballot, and they are on the nonpartisan ballot. So no matter what your party affiliation is, you can vote for Board of Education. And there needs to be a shift in the Board of Education. There needs to be a shift in this 4-3 majority, because the three that are the minority, there needs to be a gain there, and that needs to become the majority. Because you've got 4 individuals who are not representing you. They're representing the school superintendent. They're representing Terry Oates. That's what they're doing. So I want to put this up here. Okay. So Cheryl Garcia, the question you asked at the HBO meeting was not disrespectful, and none of the questions you just posed are disrespectful, Larry. Cheryl, 100%. I mean, there was a gentleman that was sitting beside Doreen Carter, stood up, said he believed we need to have some public hearings without the elected officials present, so that they couldn't grandstand and steal the show. He felt that nothing that I said was out of line and disrespectful. And I think once he said that, Doreen Carter sort of understood the tone in the room, that nobody felt what I said was disrespectful, except for some reason Richard Oden. Richard Oden was going to think anything that might make that bill look halfway presentable or positive was not good, because he was there for one reason: to pick apart and shoot down House Bill 741. Richard Oden is not there for your interest. He's there for self-interest. Because I think Richard Oden is holding out hope that someday the gods will shine upon him again, and he will once again sit there as the supreme commander and the chairman of Rockdale County. Remember now, you all remember what Richard's nickname was when he was chairman. Now, Oz's nickname is the Wizard of Oz. He's the wizard. Richard was called King Richard. And he was called King Richard for a reason. Longtime residents of Rockdale County, you all know why he was called King Richard. You know why he was called King Richard. And because we do not need that all-powerful chairman. Oden said that Doreen Carter is his girl, because she's going to carry his water. That's exactly what's going on. She's carrying his message. So, as the chairman said, Larry Cox and I don't agree on anything but not raising taxes. And I can say that on the show tonight. Richard Oden and I don't agree on anything but not raising taxes. We don't agree on House Bill 741. And you know what? At the end of the day, I would be Richard Oden's nightmare to be a member of the Board of Education. And you know what? I welcome the challenge. I hope the incumbent does run for their seat, because I want to question Mandy North on her decisions. Why have you continuously voted for Terry Oates? Why, when Terry Oates this past year laid off and reduced staff, He did a staff reduction this year at the Rockdale County school system, but yet he took a bonus that was approved by this same 4-person majority that backs every single decision, every single bad decision Terry Oates makes. And this same 4-person majority who also voted to lay people off, which I'm not saying that might not have needed to happen. Don't know all the numbers because I think they cherry picked the numbers and didn't let us see what was going on. But why? And Kelly Farr, thank you. And I'm going to put that up here in a second. But you've got this board who vote to give Terry Oates a bonus when they had to reduce staff and lay people off. If you're reducing staff and laying people off, then you shouldn't have the money to give anybody a bonus. You shouldn't. So Kelly Farr, let's put this up here, and you are 1,000% right on this. So before Odin was elected, he was leading the push for a 5-person BOC. Everyone would be represented. And that's true. Back in 2006, Richard Odin even got someone who was in DeKalb County at that time who represented Rockdale County. He got them to introduce legislation to expand the commission board to 5. People have been trying to expand this. And not only that, Sherry Washington and Oz Nesbitt were also 5-person commission people before they were elected, as was Doreen Williams. So every person since 2008 that has been elected has been a 5-person supporter until they got elected. Once they get elected, they jump off that train because they realize the power of that 3-person commission. They realize if I've got an idea and I get one person, it's not just if I got a bad idea, public service, PFA, Public Facilities Authority, we can pass a resolution, send it to the local legislature, and trick people into voting for it. And that's what they did. Didn't come before you, the citizen, to vote for it, but it came before the local legislators, and they passed local legislation passing the PFA, and it's on their shoulders that you and I are now going to face millions and millions and millions of dollars of debt that this Board of Commission is going to put upon us. So, guys, this is crazy. Just the environment that we live in Rockdale County. The Board of Commission, the City of Conyers, and the Board of Education. You know, I tried to recruit some people that I thought were like-minded with those 3 to run. Couldn't really find anybody. So I said, I can't ask somebody to do something that I won't do myself. So I decided I am going to pick up the gauntlet. I will run for one of those seats. I will run to replace someone who has been a Terry Oates loyalist. And in that board 1 position, they've been a Terry Oates loyalist. I will point blank say, if I'm elected, I will ask that we go into executive session and discuss the future of our school superintendent in Rockdale County. It needs to happen, and I'm not afraid to do it. I'm not afraid to speak my mind on that board. I'm not afraid to be the voice of the citizens of Rockdale County. And that's exactly what we need. The citizens of Rockdale County need a voice on that Board of Education board. And if you elect me, I will be your voice on that board. Guys, I want to thank you this evening. Lord have mercy, I've gone 50 minutes, and that's very long for this show lately because we usually go 30 minutes. But we had a lot to talk about tonight, and we had a lot to share. Guys, before we leave, share, like the show. Let's grow this audience. We had a really good size audience tonight. We had mid-20s. That's a very good amount of people for this show, for losing all of our contacts and losing everything. And this will be the second week that we've had the new brand up. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me. I want you to share, like the show, tell your friends about the show. Let's have people come on here so that we can educate people on what's going on in this county. We can tell them the truth. Your comments are truthful. What I'm saying is truthful. But what the Board of Education is saying is misleading. Even one of the members of the Board of Education said a couple of weeks ago that the superintendent was cherry picking the numbers to make things appear the way he wanted it. The Board of Commission does the same thing, and the City of Conyers does the same thing. It's time to reset Rockdale. It's time to renew Rockdale. It's time to make true change. Help me in May of 24. Let's get rid of these incumbents. Let's elect new people. Let's restore Rockdale and let's make real change. Thank you. Good night. I will see you next Sunday, 8 p.m. this week from Rockdale.